Hi, this is Lorraine, and I've been guided to create another video. If you'll give me a minute to clear, center, and balance my energy, we'll get started. There are several areas I wanted to start with. One, I had a couple visions I wanted to share. Two, 3i Atlas isn't meant to communicate with humanity. 3i Atlas was intended to engage and interact with Mother Earth and Father Sun. That was intentional. And right now, between this time and I think they called it Perijove, when 3i Atlas comes to its closest point with Jupiter, there's going to be a bit of a lull in information. There has been much information that's been presented with no explanation, and that's meant to overstimulate, overwhelm, confuse, and complicate things. And so the most important thing I can encourage you to do is to work on tapping into your own intuition, maintaining clear, centered, and balanced energy to help you discern what has value and what you should discard. For me, the most important thing is discerning information, utilizing my intuition. And so I encourage you to work on that for yourself, because so much information is coming in. It's overwhelming, overstimulating, and again, it's meant to create confusion and to overwhelm and create doubt. Okay? Additionally, I feel it's very important to tap into synchronicities. Synchronicities are leading you, they're signposts leading you on a path for your own discovery. They're not coincidences. I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in synchronicities. So when you become more fluent with tapping into your own intuition, actually the process of reading and understanding those synchronicities and understanding the value is a very good practice to help you refine your own intuition and your own skills of discernment. Also, science right now is the greatest tool in discerning what's happening with 3i Atlas, all its movements, what it's releasing, the chemicals or properties that it's releasing. Science is using its models, its paradigms, its formulas to help scientists try to categorize or understand what 3i Atlas is. That's their modality. That is their strength. That's their, in my opinion, pathway to the divine. I think Nikola Tesla very much found his way to his own intuitive knowing, his own divine self through science. That is their pathway, and I honor that and I respect that. Their commitment to science is equal to my commitment to my faith, my spirituality, and my disciplines, the things that I do to maintain my connection to the divine. I'm very committed to that. So where they are comfortable with their scientific discoveries or modalities to understand what they study, what they're proficient in, I am equally confident in my modalities, my skill set, and my commitment to my spirituality and what I do to maintain that connection. So I feel like that's very important to share, that this is what I do and this is what I'm sharing with you. I'm not expecting you or asking you to accept it as truth. It's my truth that I'm strongly guided to share, but I encourage you to seek and find your truth through your modality that you find most comforting or strong, or that you have a very strong sense of. Whatever that thing is for you, I encourage you to utilize that. But I want to share that with you because I think it's so important. I feel like that's so important on this journey, is that we all find that thing that helps us to understand what's being presented to us. Three-Eye Atlas is communicating. It is absolutely communicating, but this communication is nonverbal. It is showing us what it's doing and what its intention is. It's showing us. And we just need to discern that with whatever our skill set is. And so I'm using my skill set of intuition. There are other people from different disciplines who are using their modality. But this is what I share with you. A very strong vision I've had was, and I've had this for a couple weeks now, is swarms of, they look like ships. They look like ships. But when I sat with that information for a while, it's not, I asked the question, I had a vision of Independence Day. I don't know if you've seen that movie before with Will Smith, when these beings, aliens, come and they try to take over the earth, and they have these swarms. They eventually come and swarm our planet and start attacking it. That is not what's coming through. And what came through was microscopic, I want to say entities swarming the planet. And I discussed this in a previous video. I can't remember the title right now, but I will put it in picture. But I talked about how Three-Eye Atlas was an unmanned vessel or object that was run by an AI or a technology that's exponentially beyond any AI that we would know. It's so far beyond what we understand as AI. It wouldn't even be technological. It's beyond that. It's expanded or transcended this idea of physicality through a mechanism. And what the vision was that AI technology attaching itself to a particle and then coming to our planet. And I want to read what came through intuitively because I think it's best. Equally, the swarm is what is bringing the technology and materials to clear, cleanse, abate anything planted on or seeded on Mother Earth that is not considered for her greatest good by the divine consciousness. So this energy, this object, Three-Eye Atlas, is seeding our planet with this AI technology. The vision was a virus being connected to these particles and then being guided by AI technology to our planet. And it's clearing the land, it's clearing the water, it's clearing the air, it's clearing everything in preparation for first contact. That is the primary purpose of Three-Eye Atlas. And those aren't physical people that are going to walk on our planet, but it's very important that I share this with you. But it's not only this AI technology that was projected from Three-Eye Atlas. The strong feeling is that it came when Three-Eye Atlas was at perihelion and it projected this through the sun onto Earth. And then as I'm saying that is a product that's has something to do with that large coronal hole, I think they call it, was that projection from Three-Eye Atlas. That is why 3i Atlas had to pass behind the sun, or what we perceived as behind the sun, as it projected those microscopic objects to or towards Earth. It had to filter it through the sun, otherwise it could be harmful to humans. We're very delicate. Humans are very delicate. That being said, there are millions, billions, maybe trillions of these things being projected still from 3i Atlas. As it goes to Jupiter, it's still projecting these particles towards our Earth. It is having a profound effect on us right now. It's doing its job right now. But it's not something, it's intentionally not something that we can detect. It's intentionally something, these are things that we cannot mitigate or stop, because it is healing, clearing, cleansing our planet. For us, it's abating any and mitigating anything that's attempting to be done to prevent 3i Atlas from fulfilling its obligation, or these particles. And it will continue to do this up through the time it reaches Jupiter, which is, I believe, March 16th. Once 3i Atlas hits Jupiter March 16th, they're not showing me specifically what's happening, but that is when I get that message, a second pass. So something else is going to come towards Earth to start the second phase. Also, there has been like a few posts that I've read that are very, a lot of people are saying, oh, this is fake, blah, 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 blah. The thing is, when I read these posts, my body doesn't reject it. So I have to consider what this information is. I feel like much of the time that information is presented and people are intentionally post negativity because they don't want us to see that as truth. So one of the things was, there's an asteroid that's going to be circling the Earth that just showed up. It's a second moon. It's going to be here for 50 years and then it's going to leave. I found that suspect only because if that is in fact true, it's got to be a probe. It's got to be observation of our planet as we go through this process of transcendence. 50 years, there's going to be a lot of stuff happening in the next 50 years. And I don't believe in coincidences. I believe in synchronicities. I believe in admonishing and downplaying and belittling information to get us not to pay attention to it. I believe people do that. There was another post about the Earth's rotation stopping, right? This seemed very outlandish to me. I was like, that's a little over the top. But again, my body didn't reject that information. And I am highly clairsentient. So if my body isn't like pushing it away, or if I don't feel like uncomfortable in my body some way, I have to bring that in and receive it. And I saw a post about CERN a little bit later, like maybe a day or two later, and then those two posts came together in my intuitive knowing, and whatever was observed as far as the Earth's rotation and that information was reconciled, I guess is the best word. There are, what did I write? I have to read what I wrote. CERN is potentially catastrophic. Intervention is necessary, and it's part of the culling process. That came through very clear. There are people who are utilizing CERN and this technology in seeking knowledge at any cost, and it's very dangerous, not only to this planet but to the universe as a whole. So there have been extraterrestrial, I'm going to say it, extraterrestrial interventions to block much of what they're doing to prevent catastrophe. And so when I saw that post about stopping the rotation of the earth and then CERN, it came in very strong that there are beings, I call them beings of love and light. People might call them extraterrestrials or extra-dimensional beings, but I call them beings of love and light. They're coming here to support us, to stop that, to prevent us from destroying ourselves, or worse, our galaxy or our universe, causing irreparable damage. And that came in very, very strong. And so this is it's become a very hands-on intervention, but it is meant to not be seen. So they are working these beings of love and light are working from behind the scenes, but that came in very, very strong. So in some sense, they're already here, but that process isn't part of first contact. That process of mitigating what's going on at CERN is about protecting the integrity of Mother Earth solely. Additionally, 3i Atlas isn't communicating with humans, it's communicating, when it communicates with Mother Earth, there are beings in the heart of Mother Earth that are meant to protect Mother Earth. They represent earth, air, fire, water, and ether. And so any changes that happen to Earth must be approved or cleared or authorized by these beings who are responsible for the integrity of Mother Earth. So as 3i Atlas comes through, it is communicating with these beings and asking for permission to do what it's doing. It's not just doing whatever it wants, right? This isn't an external, 3i Atlas isn't an external energy or being or consciousness imposing itself on Earth. It is directly communicating and accessing permission and authorization to do what it's doing. And I just want to go back and state that when I saw those swarms of, I'm going to call them ships, even though they're microscopic, because they are being driven by AI technology. It was, the message that came in was the procession has started. The procession has started, meaning those particles driven by AI technology are the procession that has started to come to Earth to mitigate, heal, clear, and abate anything that isn't meant to be here. The two visions I had was, I saw these grates, and they were vertical, and they just looked like blinds. And then all of a sudden they turned 90 degrees, and they were windows. They were like viewports, like on Star Trek, The Next Generation, how they would go up and they would look out at space or whatever they're observing, right? And there were just a few people. There was just 3 people, and the viewports were huge, but they were looking at and observing Earth. The other vision I had was, I saw these metal things. They were stacked, and they looked like pots. So they were very old and dated. They had clamps, some kind of clamp holding them together. I drew those, so I'll do a picture-in-picture, and they had some dials on them and buttons. And there was 3 of them stacked, and it had legs like a table, metal. They were metal. And it was right in front of me, and then as I was coming out of my meditation, it moved away really quick, so it was hard for me to see it. But what came in after I sat with that for a while was that was old technology, and the message that came in with the pots was, or I want to say the pots because they look like pots, but it wasn't. It was some type of technology, but it was archaic. And it was starting the process that was occurring on Mother Earth on another world. Another world would go through what Earth has gone through, this 3D level of consciousness. And what came in very strong was Cepheus. So wherever those who are unable to complete this cycle and who will repeat this cycle, they will be going to this world, which is in Cepheus. That was also very clear. Okay, if you give me a minute, let me see if anything else comes. Okay, that's it. Thank you.